Hello, and welcome to the Purpose of Beauty podcast. I'd love to bring you along with me as I meet my friend Anna outside of a coffee shop in Birmingham, Alabama, to talk about God's glory as we experience it through beauty. Apologies in advance that I talk too much and it's a little noisy, but I hope you'll be able to overcome these things and just be encouraged by our conversations in the Lord. Thank you for listening, and to God be the glory. So I've got Anna here with me, and she is, well, actually I'll let her introduce herself. She's one of my best friends that we've been able to keep up with even over multiple states, so
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm Anna Dearman, and Anna Gardner has just really been such a blessing to me, and a really dear friend throughout the past, I don't even know how many years. We met at Briarwood Ballet doing ballet exaltation. I think it was my sophomore year.
Yeah, my freshman year, probably.
Yeah, so we danced for 3 years together, which was just a really sweet time. And yeah, so I did ballet exaltation with Anna Gardner, and then I graduated, and
And she was absolutely stunning. Like, she is amazing, beautiful dancer.
you're the sweetest, thank you. So I am now a student at Mississippi College. I'm majoring in exercise science and plan to get my master's in nutrition.
Yeah, you are.
Still trying to figure that out, but trusting the Lord that He'll provide the next steps for me. But yeah,
Yay!
I'm excited to
Oh my goodness.
talk with you. So
Well, it's so fun to have you here today. The reason I thought of you is, well, for a lot of reasons, but Anna has been a big encouragement to me, and more than anything, she always points me back to Christ and what His Word says, and I feel like she has a unique perspective as someone who has been a ballerina who trained 25 hours a week and performed in multiple states and countries, and then left that and had to say goodbye to dance. And I just think you have a unique perspective in that transition, and having quit dance but still getting to watch dance. What's that like?
I would say it's been one of the hardest things to say goodbye to, just because growing up, that's all I knew. And I went through seasons while I was dancing where I really considered stopping because I didn't love it anymore. But I continued on, and I'm so glad I did, because I don't know where I'd be without it. I don't know. But yeah, so the transition was really hard, just because it was something that was such a big part of my life
Right.
for so long. And I definitely still miss it.
Right.
But also, I knew personally it wasn't something that I saw myself doing for a very long time in the future, and so it just didn't make the most sense for me to continue on any further after high school. But I still love dancing, and I still miss it.
Oh my goodness, I remember you came back to take a class at Briarwood, like, was it this year or last year?
It was probably like 2 years ago.
Maybe 2
It's
years
been a long
ago,
time.
but you still had it. You still looks beautiful, even if you're not taking classes.
Oh, thank you.
So,
But yeah, I was able to become an instructor at a bar studio in my college hometown, and so that was a cool thing that came out of all of the years of dancing. I was able to just jump right into teaching bar because of the experience that I already had. So that was a really cool thing to see how the Lord worked that out, that I was still able to stay active and get to use my experience in a different way.
Do you feel like in any way that your past has, like your previous dance experience has allowed you to see the world differently?
Yeah, for sure. I think having been a dancer, I have a greater appreciation for it than if I never did it, because I know the hours, the time, the hard work that it takes to create that kind of beauty.
Right.
And so I have a deep appreciation for it that I otherwise would not have had, especially because ballet is one of those things that if you're good at it, you make it look so easy.
Yeah,
and
that's so true.
So just being an outsider watching it, I don't think I would have had the same perspective that I do having been a part of that. So that's really neat. And I think just seeing beauty around me and finding beauty in movement, whether that's ballet or whether that's contemporary or just dancing for fun. Like, I think just seeing the beauty in that has been really cool.
Yeah. I think one of the things I loved about having you as a fellow dancer with Ballet Exaltation at Briarwood is that you had this like quality of like light about you. You always had this. You were always cast for the roles where it was like a Christ figure, really. But they were all beautiful roles where you were, I don't know, you were being like the Holy Spirit, where you were, you know, even if you didn't get to perform that one, you were cast as kind of the spirit of light. And I think one of the reasons is that you were able to see the Lord's work in your life and in His providence. And I don't know if you realized it when you were that age, but obviously some of your teachers could see that in you, which was really cool. But why don't we deep dive a little bit into some of our performances that we had, like when we went to Peru. And tell me about that first performance.
Oh, man.
And that story after it that you were telling me about earlier.
Yes.
Yeah.
So our first performance in Peru was at a church in Lima, and I don't remember the name.
I don't remember either.
But
it was in San Juan del Urigancho, but I don't remember the name of the church.
Yeah. I think we were all nervous going into it, just not knowing what to expect, it being our first performance, and had no idea how many people would come. But we started, we got up on stage, we performed, and the little church was just packed with people. We heard that there was a line all the way out to the back of the door, even out the door, I think. Even out the door.
It was like a warehouse, this whole hallway all the way down, and outside into the parking lot people were standing.
And that's just mind-blowing to me that many people came and cared to watch.
Right.
And I remember just being absolutely blown away when I heard that I think it was 33 people came to salvation.
33 people.
Through that performance. And that was just our first night there. And so that just got me so pumped for what the Lord would do that trip. Because if He could take a performance in a little church,
and a church that doesn't speak our language, right?
In a different country, and we're just these Americans doing some ballet and contemporary, and the Lord, He used it in mighty ways. And so that was just really, really encouraging to see.
Yeah. I think something you said about how it speaks to people, and they're in another country, maybe they don't speak your language, or maybe they're not your age, but it still speaks to them. I mean, I'm not going to say all of the 33 people who came to Christ were all Spanish speakers, or all people in their 30s, or all people who love ballet in general, or I don't know that, but I can say that they were all people that the Lord called, and He used a performance, a ballet performance, to bring them to Christ, which is really powerful.
Yeah, it's so unique.
Did you have a concept for how powerful your art could be before then?
I don't think so. I think growing up dancing at Briarwood, I definitely knew that there was power in it, and that's because of the Lord, not because of what we were doing. But dancing to worship Him and to show a story of the gospel, whether that be through like the whole performance or through a piece, I definitely knew it was powerful and that it could be, but I did not realize the extent of that until I think that night in Peru. It just blew my mind that could happen. And so, I definitely was not expecting that.
I remember it. I had kind of become kind of cynical about dance and was like, it's just movements, it's just steps on a stage, there's no reason why it's powerful. And that night kind of cured me. I saw that this beautiful dancing that we did that sort of didn't mean anything when you took it at a count by count measure. When you pour it together and you have tons of people praying over it. I mean, we had people stay up all night to pray for that show. But there was also another miracle I remember. You got so sick, and then you had to perform. Tell me about that.
Yes. So, I did get sick in Peru, and not fun whatsoever. But,
all right, come on, music.
Okay. But yes, as awful as it was being sick in Peru, it was so cool to see that next performance. I think it was 2 days after I got sick, 2 or 3, and I was just getting better, but I was still very, very weak and just had no strength. And I remember just constantly praying, like, Lord, give me strength, help me to get through this. Let your joy be my strength. And I knew others were praying for me as well. And that performance, I just had just an extra measure of energy, of strength. I didn't feel as sick. Like, it was just incredible. It was only the Lord who could have done that, because it was so miraculous. Like, while I was dancing, while I was on stage, I was okay. And I could do it because of the Lord's strength. And that was not something that I had, like, earlier that day even. No. And so that was really, really neat to see how the Lord answered prayer and sustained me through that performance when I, on my own, physically did not have the ability whatsoever to get through it. And yet he gave me the strength for that. So that was definitely an answered prayer for sure.
I love the word you used, that he sustained you. And he didn't necessarily sustain you after or before in the same amount, the same capacity, but it was exactly what you needed to accomplish his work in that moment. And he gave it to you. It reminds me of when Paul talks about, like, the Lord will give you the words to say, but it doesn't say that he'll give them to you an hour in advance so you can study them and know exactly what words to say and have a speech planned out. He gives them to you in the moment, so that you can't stress about planning it. All you can do is perform, and all you can do is serve him with the gifts and the talents that you have and the energy that he gives you in that moment at that time. And that's what performing is when we do it for him. So
that's so true. It was completely his strength in me. And I just remember, like, knowing that deep in my soul that it was not me, it was him.
And I know you remember this, but we have a song that we sing after every show. Do you remember the first couple lyrics?
To God be the glory, great
things he has done. So loved us the world
that he gave us his son. So sweet memories of singing that.
So good.
After every performance. I'll never forget that.
Because I think it really started feeling real to me in Peru, because we knew that we could only be performing with his power, and so it was for his glory that we were doing it. And we knew that when we were doing it for him, Satan could do no thing except build a bigger stage on which God could perform a bigger miracle. And I started to see God as, like, this grand choreographer who has a plan for our lives. Clearly he had a plan for you too, because even if it wasn't in dance, he had you go to college and start teaching bar, and you weren't totally devoid of dance. I mean, we're going to see a dance performance tonight, but how was it watching your first ballet after you'd stopped dancing, and what was that like for you?
It was definitely very strange. It was a mixture of emotions. I'm pretty sure it was your senior performance.
Oh my goodness, really?
I think so.
Was it, which show was that? Was it
Creation Scenes?
Creation Scenes.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
I want to say that was the first one I watched after graduating and no longer dancing anymore. So yeah, it was weird. It was weird being in the audience.
Yeah.
Not being on stage. But it was also really cool to get to sit back and watch the whole performance, and just get a different perspective on it, to see the whole story, from beginning to end, which you don't get when you're dancing on stage.
No.
And
I feel like we can get so caught
costumes.
up in the rushing backstage, all of the things. I'm going to talk filler for here for a second because that car is being so loud. But yeah, we can just get so caught up in that backstage moment. What was it like to actually be able to sit back and relax? Were you still stressed about like the people backstage, or were
Not
you able to
really.
sit and enjoy it?
I think I was able to sit and enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's also fun to see choreography that you've done before on
Oh my
stage,
goodness,
and
yes.
it will just start running through your mind while you're sitting in the audience. So that's kind of fun.
Do you ever hear a song that you dance to and it just like clicks back and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to be on stage?
Yes, there were multiple times I was like, oh, I just want to get up there and join them.
Oh my goodness.
But
there's another thing I feel like is a neat connection between your past and your present, is that you love to take photographs. And you, in a sense, are a photographer. But we talked a little bit about how you take more photographs when you're traveling than when you're just at home, at college, around town. Speak to that and the power of distance or context to the beauty that you see around you.
Yeah. I love taking pictures. I love traveling, and I love taking pictures while I travel.
Yeah.
That's probably one of my favorite things. So, yeah, I've realized that, and I will take pictures just in my day-to-day life if I see something that I think is beautiful or aesthetically pleasing or just brings me a smile.
Yeah.
But definitely not to the extent that I do when I'm traveling. And I think that's because while I travel, I know that I'm only going to be in a certain place for X amount of time, and I want to take it in. I want to remember it, and I want to document it.
It makes it temporary.
Yeah. It's not a long-term thing, and so I want to capture it while I'm there. And so I think having that perspective of I'm just here for this moment.
Yeah.
And I want to remember it. I don't really have that mindset when I'm not traveling and when I'm just kind of going about my day-to-day life. And I think I've missed some things that I could have enjoyed as far as beauty.
Yeah.
By not being present in the moment and consciously looking for it. That's another thing. When I travel, I'm always thinking about, okay, what looks beautiful, what looks new, what's exciting, what's different, and how can I capture that in a way that I can remember the way I felt the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow, that's so powerful.
Yeah, it's a big thing of perspective and being intentional about looking for the beauty around you, which I want to get better at. Just
Me
day
too now. Do you feel like you had that same feeling in dance as well, or was it different?
Yeah, I think being a dancer and performing, it's a completely different kind of beauty than observing it.
Yeah.
And I think one's not better than the other.
Right. Just different.
But I think personally I appreciate it more so while I'm dancing.
Yeah.
Because you also get this feeling of I'm creating beauty.
Yeah.
And that's just such a cool thing to do. And also like doing it with other people, and watching other people while you're dancing. Yeah. And you're just kind of taking it in and creating it all at the same time with other people, and it's just this like beautiful like orchestra of beauty all wrapped up into dance. And
it's so true.
Yeah,
but I feel like the relational community aspect almost builds to the sense that you can appreciate the beauty of what's around you because you know what went into it.
100%. 100%. Yeah. I agree with that so much. Yeah. If it wasn't for the friendships that I had within Ballet X, I would not have appreciated the beauty as much, for sure.
Yeah.
So that's a huge part of it.
Right back at you. And you were one of those friendships that I had that I was able to appreciate. Oh man. Well, I also just think that I feel like I had this understanding that in order to appreciate the beauty of something, I had to be perfect at it, whatever that was, whether it was ballet, whether it was painting, whether it was sewing, whether it was singing, or, any sort of art form that I thought I just had to be perfect at it in order to enjoy it. Mm-hmm. But I feel like you are one of these people who is artsy in so many different areas. I mean, I've loved seeing just like little Bible verses that you'll paint or color or draw or just write out in a really beautiful way. And it may not be something that you're going to go sell on Etsy. It might be. I mean, some of them are pretty just beautiful, but they're also just very inspiring. And I don't know. I wondered if you could speak to like why you do that, or if you just do it naturally. Like, is it just something you enjoy, or how did you get into doing that?
I think it really is just something that I enjoy. I enjoy making things beautiful, or making beautiful things. Yeah. Something that's pleasing to the eye. And so I think it just kind of fills my soul in a way that nothing else does. Yeah. Which I think is so cool that the Lord created art and beauty as a way for us to enjoy Him and part of His character. And so I think it really just has come from enjoyment of it and just the feeling that it gives me when I create something. But yeah, I agree. I think if we waited till we could make something perfect, then we wouldn't create it all.
Oh man. Wait, can you say that again in case we missed it?
If we wait to create something perfect, then we won't create it all.
Wow.
And if we're being honest, we're not going to create anything that's perfect. I think
that's so true. Yeah.
We have our ideas of what perfection is, and some people seem to achieve that maybe more so than others in certain areas, but only the Lord has created perfect beauty, and we can't match up to that, but we can reflect it. Yeah. And so I think that's what's important, is you don't have to be perfect at creating something. It doesn't have to look like Michelangelo or anyone else, because we're all different, and our abilities and our talents are different, our minds are different, we see things differently, and so I think perfection should not be the goal.
Well, it's unattainable.
You're right, because we can't be perfect in that, but just doing what we love doing in a way that we enjoy and that is glorifying to the Lord. I think that's what matters. And
I think there's something to be said for just the fact that God created this world beautiful. And I mean, like we were talking about earlier, you have this connection to nature that you don't get when you're inside. And God created this world in a beautiful way, and when we create things that are beautiful, even if it's a small amount of beauty, it still points to Him. And I think I love ballet, and I love watching you and other people dance, and I love watching beautiful sunsets, because they all point me to the fact that there is something more. Like, I can't be perfect, but I can see that there is perfection that is possibly not attainable in this world, but something that does exist, and something we can long for and strive for as artists, or as just humans in this world. We are all artists because we're made in the image of the Creator God. So that's so true.
Yeah, I love that.
I know you also love nature, and
yes.
How is that powerful for you?
Yeah.
Does it connect you in a way to the Lord?
It does. I think when I am able to physically be in His creation, be surrounded by it, and look at his creation, hear it, take it in. There's just a special connection to the Lord that I have when I'm experiencing his works of creation and beauty around me that I don't get when I'm when I'm inside
or
just not thinking about it either. I could be outside but not conscious of what's around. And so I definitely feel a sweet connection when I am in awe of what he's created.
I think that's a good place for us to be.
Appreciate it. Mm-hmm.
You know, it makes us feel small, and it reminds us that everything we do is not as important as we think it is.
Yes.
But oh my goodness.
I think it gives us a perspective that life is not about us. It's so easy to get caught up in myself and my own little world, but I think something about creation and being out in nature is just that perspective of, okay, it's not all about me. There's so much more in the world. So much more.
It's so much bigger than you.
Yeah.
So much better.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you so much for just sharing your life and your story with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I'm going to ask you one more question.
Okay.
And I'll give you a second to think about what you're going to say. But I would love for you to share with us one thing that you wish either you had told yourself in the past, something you could tell yourself in the past, or something you would like to say to any listeners who maybe they love art but they don't feel like they're good at anything that is artsy. Just one thing you would say either to your past self or to someone in the crowd. So I'm going to give you a second to think on it, and I'm just going to say thank you so much for listening to this little podcast. It's really just me and my best friend's sister talking together about what we love, and that's the beauty of the gospel and the beauty that the Lord has given us in this world. And so I hope you'll keep listening to these. They'll be pretty informal, just an exploration into the beauty of creation and the power of that beauty, because at the end of the day, the Lord has created a beautiful world, and the fact that we get to be a part of that is such a gift, and we don't want to take it for granted. So, with that, do you have a word for us?
Yes. I guess I actually have two things. So, the first thing is just remember that whether it's your work or your art that you're creating or anything that you do, your worth is not found in what you make or what you create or your productivity, your efficiency, any of that. It doesn't define your value because it's found in your Creator. And the second thing I would say would be to do it all for His glory. Because whenever we start focusing on ourselves and doing something for our namesake and so that other people will think highly of us, it just takes us down into this spiral and into this pit of selfishness, and it takes our eyes off the Lord and why He made us. And so, just whatever you do for the Lord and His glory.
Do for the Lord. Do all things for the Lord and not for men. That's the verse I was trying to think of. Yeah. Oh man, that was so encouraging. Thank you so much, Anna.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was so fun.
Yay. Bye everybody. We hope you have a lovely rest of your day and continue to practice beauty and practice art, all for the glory of the Lord and not for yourself. Bye guys.
Bye.